Love to see that slide. Yeah.
Okay, I'll put it up for you after you pick back up. Okay.
So in my time at ACS, just probably can identify you don't take good care of yourself. You're not sleeping a lot. You're eating on the go. By 11, 12, you're digging in your desk for whatever snack, candy, whatever's in there. It makes you tired. Now you got a desk work caseload of this, notes you got to put in, and your energy is gone. You can't fake the energy. So that's what I was experiencing. It'd been a while, but I wasn't paying attention to it. I wasn't mindful of it. I was just brushing it off. But this is my life. This is it. This is it, y'all. And then one day, after I had my second child, and I hit 200 pounds, and I was like, now I got 2 kids to chase after, plus families to chase after, plus my job and all these things. I was like, I can't do this no more. And I woke up one day and I said, I have to make a change. So I slowly started to make a change on my own, with eating better and working out. I had to make it work for me because I didn't have time to get to a gym, so I started to work out at home in my living room and in the dark when everybody was sleeping. But what I started to notice is that as I did that, I would get to work and my energy was up. My neighbors, not so much. I was looking a little different. I was feeling different. I was bringing different meals to work. People were like, what's that? I'm like, well, it's this. What's that smelling at my office? It's Chinese. I'm like, okay, cool, enjoy that. So I started to just actually build up my own, I'm doing this for me, and you gotta do what's good for you. But my productivity at work started to get better. My attention towards the family started to get better. And then I started to realize if me changing my own diet, not diet, but my eating, me changing my own physical activity and prioritizing my health and my fitness was making me feel so much more productive at work, what would I do for a family and their parenting and their providing for their family at their work that they have to do? So while I was working, I would, at the time I was a conference facilitator, and I was facilitating meetings. We called them FTCs, ERCs, between the family and the agency, the preventive agency. And while we're talking about the child welfare things, school, home, discipline, all that stuff, I was a little bit different. Because if we go to the last slide, I started to see things in new creative ways. Because guess what? If you have dreams and goals and ideas, they don't come to life if you don't have no energy. But I found some energy. So now I'm at the table with a new lens. Sitting at the table, we're dealing with all those things that the agency requires me to deal with. But I would ask Mom, what do you do for yourself? Do you work out? Do you take walks? Do you, bathe with the door closed without the kids coming in? Do you do stuff like that? Because I started to realize that those things was affecting me in my own house with my own kids walking in on me and not giving me my space. And it affected how I was parenting at the end of the day. So I know if I'm just like anybody else, it's affecting the person who's on the other side of that table. So I had to decide, I need to recognize this woman, this father, this grandparent who's raising this child for what they are. That's a person who is probably not taking care of themselves. So how in the world can they take care of a kid? But we see it surface level. We see the abuse, absences, mental health. We see all those things, but we don't really take it down to bare one, which is self-care and wellness. So I started to bring that to my work. So as I was doing that, I realized, Ms. Pat always says, she's always told me, you haven't done your greatest work yet. You haven't done it. And I started to realize that my greater work is really working with you guys, working with my colleagues, working with the parents, making everybody my quote-unquote client. Because at the end of the day, someone has to tell you to take care of you. And most people don't have that. Once you're above 18, you don't have your mama not telling you what to do no more. You appreciate it. You wish you had somebody to tell you to eat well, go to bed, cut that TV off, but you don't have that as grown-ups. And so I was starting to do that at the table with the families. And then eventually I decided actually to resign my job at ACS. Wow. I became a health and fitness coach. As you can see, I'm with a company called Beachbody. I also opened up my own fitness studio. And my goal is to reach people like me. Because we are the generation taking care of our kids and our elders, and nobody's taking care of us. So my focus is awareness. Are you planning for yourself? Are you doing? We're going to go into the slide and try to comb through the slide. But are you doing that for yourself? And then realize that once your energy is there, you now can see the world differently, and you can be more present.
Mm-hmm. So I was so excited when Ayanna said,
we talk about our goals and aspirations, and sometimes we're doing things because we have to do them. But when you have that epiphany that you want to do something else, and you want to take, I'm gonna take a risk, and I'm gonna figure it out, and I'm gonna plan it, and you know, and okay, like, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this.
That's right.
You know? I don't know how I'm gonna get there, Miss Pat, but
Right.
I'm gonna do it.
Right.
And it started out in the living room.
That's right.
And,
Yeah. It was pretty much just like she said. I took a leap of faith, but you have to realize that everybody's road, everybody's journey is different. But when you're taking, it didn't happen until I started taking care of myself, and my brain got clearer. That's all. You know, I love the work that I did. And I did it for 14 years. I think I did my time. I think somebody else needed my chair by that time. And you got to actually move and grow so somebody else can actually experience that life. I felt like I was leaving stability to become an entrepreneur, but I thought about it. I said, wait a minute, you know what? That's a circle of life. I got to get out this chair. Somebody else can get this chair and maybe have their own epiphany. So I kind of moved on from there. But my focus again, and the reason why I wanted to actually do this, I film it, because I'm hoping to get back into corporate in terms of like wellness. You know, I think you mentioned something earlier about that it's all full circle. What you do at home translates into what you do at work. And if you are at work and all of your colleagues are in a place of wellness and feeling better and taking care of themselves, imagine what the conversation is like around the water cooler. It's different. Mm-hmm. It's not about you complaining about your job, you're not complaining about the families, you're not complaining about your work that you got to do. You're not talking about healthy eating. I got a lot of slack for people just sitting next to me judging my plate. Mm-hmm. But when we were all eating Sylvia's and we was all eating all these things that was going to make us tired and not productive, it was all good. But the moment I came in there with a salad or you know, my own fruit at the office party, I was judged. But I was okay with that. I was okay with that because I felt like I knew better, you know? But believe it or not, you know, when you are doing that, you become a ray of light in your office. People will start to see that, and they, you know, will latch on very slowly but surely. Mm-hmm. You know.
So.
And these are all the things that I focus on now. Mm-hmm. Sure. So what I do is as a coach, I'm a coach, and so basically I work with people to kind of help them sort things out. I'm a coach, and I'm also my own client at the same time. I'm in struggle. Okay. I'm not gonna lie. I'm no holier than thou. I'm not that girl. I'm the person who's experiencing the same thing you are. But I've come out of my own self and I'm saying we're going to do this together. That's how I work. So basically, before I started, I was not planning for myself. So if you look at the first one is clear clutter from food preparation and eating space. What does that look like for you at home? You know, what does your kitchen look like? Is it just, you know, full of all kinds of, there's no organization? Is your desk like that? Is it also like that at work? Is there no space for you to eat at work? Think about that. So once you start to clear those things out and you can kind of see what smart things to put back in, you'll be that much better. So what I do is I try to show people, like, listen, if it's not available to you, you won't eat it. If you have a desk that's drawer full of, you know, Snickers, my Halloween just passed by, and I know I got some too. But right. Right. So, but if your side drawer doesn't have something healthy in it, that's not what you're going to reach for. You're going to reach for what's in there. Okay. And if the neighborhood that you work in doesn't have healthier things, and you go downstairs for your midday crash, and you get a soda, and you get a donut, or you dig in the drawer for the chocolate, you're going to crash. You're going to have something in your body, but it's not going to do anything for you. Remember, you're still at work. I'm not just talking healthy eating just to feel well, because that's part of it. That's a given, but you also need to be productive at work. And then also get to your families to be able to think clearer and be able to help them. How can you guide somebody if you're not there, if you're not all there? So food preparation is key. I always make the distinction, and as you're talking to your families, right? You have a lot of moms probably with young kids, and you know, while you're talking to them, they're pulling out snacks for the baby and pulling your hand into things out for the baby. It's great, because what did they do? They planned for that baby. They planned for that child. The child is not going to go hungry. We all know by 1 o'clock, somebody's going to get cranky and spaz out. So give me a second, Miss Pat. I'm going to give him a snack, because otherwise you're going to turn this whole meeting out. Give him a snack. I try to let the people that I work with, you got to do the same thing for yourself. Your snack looks different than a child, but you do have a crash experience. You probably shut off, start listening. You know, you probably, you know, you're not thinking outside the box for that family. So you have to plan for yourself and have your own snack. I tell the parents and my moms, I work with a lot of moms too, new moms, older moms. The way you plan for that kid is the way you plan for yourself. You don't leave, I was just saying to myself, I should have a raisins in my bag, but I got cars in my pocket because my kids. So if you can carry something for your child on you, you can carry something for yourself the same exact way. Not just diapers and Cheerios, but have you some carrots, have you some whatever it is inside of your bag for yourself at that time. So you're prepared. So that's all about a part of planning, right? And then also making mealtime special. So when I first started this journey, I was eating standing up before. You know, you got kids or if you're on the go, I eat stand up. My kids, whenever they're done eating, it's like, are you done with that? And throw it, because we're not wasting food. We don't waste food. Yeah, I don't know if you come from that school, but we don't waste food from a family. So I would literally not make myself a plate, and whatever the kids left over, I would like Fido on the side, like, I'm gonna take that because you wasted, and I would take it. And that's not special. I'm not doing anything for myself. I'm literally just, how much do I value myself and my nutrition if I'm waiting? And plus, what do kids eat? Mac and cheese and nuggets. I can't eat like a 4-year-old and function for my families at work. I can't eat like a 12-year-old and go to work and be able to be present at training like this. I can't do that. I have to eat differently. Although kids, they come around, I'm a grown-up. I have to get over the fact that I maybe don't like broccoli or I've never had kale before. I got to get over it because I know better. So I started to do that, make my own meal special. And even if I had to make 2 meals, you know, till I get to that place. Some people say, well, I'm not cooking 2 meals. I can't afford it. Well, you can't afford not to. Everybody got to eat, but mom is the one or dad is the one that's running the show. You can't afford not to eat. Sorry. Okay, figure it out. So making it special is also giving yourself value. And it could be at work, when you bring your food from work. Clear your space. At the time, I was not even leaving my desk to go have my lunch. I would literally just move my paper to the side and I'm going to just eat right here. Sometimes you just have to get up and go to a break room. Or get up if the weather is nice, go outside. Make it special and make it personal. And so that's your eat time. Okay? You can't get 5 minutes? Okay? And then establishing an eating routine. So just the same way you have with your children, you know what time of day they're going to eat. You know what's going to happen. TV goes off, conversation this, cell phones away, whatever you need to do to establish a routine. If you wake up in the morning and the first thing you have is your meditation or you work out, same time of day, that develops a habit. So a routine could also be looked at as a habit. If you don't have a habit at all, you got to create one. And if you don't create one, it's going to be all willy-nilly and you're not going to get the goal that you want. You're not going to be fed. You're going to be rushed. I was that girl, literally. Everybody's bags at the door, lunch is packed for everybody else, and I'm running out the door with not a thing for me, and I'm just gonna drive through Dunkin' Donuts when I drop the kids off because I'm not sharing my donuts. I'm gonna get 6, and I'm not sharing with nobody. So I'm gonna drop them off, and I'm gonna have my donuts. That was it. And then I realized, are you kidding me? Again, that's awareness and that's mindfulness. You have to think before you make that change. So developing a routine for yourself allows you to put yourself first and then create a habit that you can sustain. And if you don't put the energy into creating a habit, it's not going to happen on its own. But habits are sustainable once you do it. You know, they say 21 days to make a habit. This is one of my favorite ones, 21 days to make a habit. It is so true. But you got to do the work. And then I mentioned before, turning off electronics and TV and cell phone. Like how many of you, you know, what's today? Is it Scandal Day? Like, I've never seen one episode of Scandal, but I know people sit down with they spread and their wine and they plate of food, or they didn't have time to cook because Scandal was coming on, and they brought their food and they're sitting down and watching and sitting, okay, or whatever it is your favorite show. You probably mindlessly eat in front of your TV if you do that. You probably, you know, I need to be chewing on something. I need to crunch. Well, crunch on a carrot. I promise you'll probably stop after 4 and realize you're not that hungry if you don't like carrots. But if you're eating something that's, you know, gooey, cheesy, sweet, whatever, you can kind of go through that whole thing, salty, crunchy, Lay's, potato chips. You go through the entire thing, and what? You're not even fed. There's no nutrition in any of that. You feel guilty, okay? You feel bloated. You're tired. Now, whatever you have planned after that show is done because you're going to bed. Let's be real about the routine in your day. That's what's going to happen. So you have to start to be mindful of how you set your whole situation up. And if you think patterns, guys, like, you know, as kids, you have to tell a million times, get down from there, get down from there, get down from there. You know what's going to happen if you don't get down from there. You're going to hurt yourself. You know what happens when you don't eat the right thing. Immediately you know when you're going to crash. You immediately know when you're going to get tired, or you're going to get a stomach ache, or you know after you ate that Mexican, you're going to have to run, right? You know that, yet still we do the same thing over and over and over again. But as adults, you don't have the luxury of making that same mistake if you know better. So plan for better and know if I ate this meal last time during Scandal, I immediately could not function. So next time I watch Scandal, I'm gonna have something else, or I'm gonna shut it off completely and make sure that I'm focusing on my digestion, I'm chewing my food, you know what I'm saying? I'm sitting with my family, I'm making eye contact, I'm connecting, we're talking, I'm looking at my kids while we're eating and asking them about their day to make it a family time. Reassess or redo how you have your meals. Don't face the TV, face each other, okay? So you make it more of a better ritual. And then also using a smaller medium plate. So a lot of times, what we don't do is portion. We don't eat the right amount of food. Most of us, when I speak to people at the beginning of their journeys, but I don't eat that. I eat vegetables. I eat chicken. I love fish. I'm a vegetarian, but I eat fish. I don't eat, I'm like, I hear everything. But the bottom line is this: if you're not eating the right amount, you're not eating for your goals, okay? If you're going from pot to plate, and put my foot in this rice today, I'm having extra rice because I don't make this all the time. Extra rice, right? You're overdoing it and you're not eating towards your goal. You're just eating for the moment, you're eating for the feel, you're not thinking about it, and then what's gonna happen the next day? Just the guilt's gonna set in. Same thing you felt yesterday, except worse, but you got leftovers, so you're gonna do it again tonight, okay? So if you're eating on a smaller plate, your plate looks full, you feel as though you're getting enough, your visual, the cues, all the things in your mind are there saying, I have enough. And then you listen to your body. I think at the bottom, you listen to your body and learn that this is really all I needed. Walk away, drink some water, okay? But again, we all have to learn those things. I was there and it was like, whatever, I put my foot in this rice. I'm eating more.
There's a term I like, I think it says you don't eat to live, you live to eat.
Right, absolutely,
Eat
absolutely, yeah. And the whole idea is I help people shift their idea or their mindset to eating to live, because if we haven't even gone into tradition, but traditional foods, generally, if you think about them, they can be very healthy. Depending on what culture, where you're from, they can be very healthy. But we don't treat them in a way that allows us to be able to experience the health that comes with it. If you're eating too much fried, if you're eating too much of this, if it's too much oil, and we're afraid to change our grandmama's recipe because it was the way she made it. You know what I'm saying? I always say all the time, like, your plate can really kill you. Your tradition can really kill you if you don't be mindful of it. So this, I'm Black and Hispanic, so I feel like I always say I'm cuchi frito on one side and fried on the other or smothered on the other. I had to change some things. Just the other day I was telling my mom, sometimes you don't want to defend your elders if they make you something. Thanksgiving's coming, y'all. I hope y'all are armed. Thanksgiving's coming. You better go with a plan or your own plate. Bring your own contribution. But I was at that place where I couldn't tell my grandmother, like, no, it's just, and they're forcing food on you and you don't want to disrespect and stuff like that, but you got to think about your health. Think about it. Is your grandmother diabetic? Does your grandmother have hypertension? That's my family. So when I start to realize that, I'm looking at my sweet grandma, looking at me handing over, X, Y, and Z, I'm like, but you got diabetes. No disrespect in my mind. You got diabetes. You have high blood pressure. This is your medicine cabinet is jam-packed. Yeah. This plate is where it all starts. It's love, but at the same time, it really is old school love. New school love is you're shifting that meal and you're bringing it and you're encouraging your family members to eat it. That's new, and that's creating a new tradition. Because when you change yourself, guess what? You actually change the DNA of your entire family. If you change your eating, you change your whole family tree. If your kids start to see you working out and they've never seen you work out before, guess what? Their kids are going to see their parents work out because your kids started to do that. So you got to start somewhere. My mother, she was actually, when I first started my journey, she was in a wheelchair. She had double hip replacement, couldn't walk, spent a whole month in a nursing home. She was 268 pounds, had no place to begin. But I started, and I was like, Mom, what's your plan? Because she was not feeling great. She was depressed about it. No place to start because she's double hip replacement. You sprain your ankle, you out. You like, I'm calling out of work. I'm not going in. I just tripped in the field. I'm done. But my mother had double hip replacement, could not get out that chair. We had to start from where she was, and I had to start to tell her, so let's talk about this whole tradition we got going on. Let's shift some things. And she lost 83 pounds starting from her wheelchair because she was able to shift her thinking. And I wasn't afraid to put her in level-A in her place. I wasn't afraid for that because guess what? You only get one mom. My grandmother, who's insulin dependent, you only get one of those. But I still made some changes with her, and I stood my ground. at her house. I stood my ground because I love her. I want her here as long as possible. My family, again, lots of diabetics, lots of high blood pressure, lots of high cholesterol. We actually die from obesity-related issues in my family. Not cancer, okay? Yet still all those things can lead to those things, but you don't have now. People think diabetes is a family trait, like, it's genetic. It's not genetic. The plate is genetic. That plate, that traditional family food that you all sit together at is your DNA. But if you change that, you change all of that. You don't give yourself diabetes when you change that plate, unless you're type 1 and you're born with it. But if you're type 2, you do that to yourself.
You're right, because in a lot of Caribbean cultures, when you go into the country, they have like this big aluminum plate and you just like fill it.
Yes.
And I remember like the aluminum cup. I remember like my parents eating it, and now unfortunately, all of us have diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
We all have it.
Yep.
So I've been making those changes with my children at home, and a lot of it is due to the fact my agency actually started a couple years ago a Healthy Harlem initiative.
Awesome.
So they're providing that information for our families, for our children who are 4 and up, on actually economical ways of changing what you bring into your home, because I know finances is a big part, and to buy certain healthy produce. So we've been showing them different ingredients to buy and things to
Absolutely.
make, and they've been liking it. And the 4-year-olds are going home, that's a whoa food, that's a go food, and they're telling their
Hello.
parents. So we've actually started it like 2 years ago, and they put it with the staff. You cannot bring in fried foods, you cannot bring in sodas, you cannot do any of these things. They support us by doing like a workout Wednesday and all these things, and we have our goals and our journals. So it was really nice to hear that, like, I'm struggling with my sugar, intake also. So
Yes, but you're working on it.
Yeah.
That's the whole thing. You know what? You want to let your families know that a lot of obesity-related illnesses are reversible or can be reduced in terms of symptoms. You don't have to say, this is it, y'all, I'm done. You don't have to do that. You can reverse it, so keep working towards that. And just like you said, what the kids will do differently, they'll hold you accountable. So include the children, tell the families to include the kids. Whenever I'm on my regimen, I'll tell the kids to ask you for one of your things, just don't give it to me, even if I punish you. Don't give it to me, okay? Take one for the team, okay? So you got to do that. You got to be okay to come out of that, and that's why, again, when I'm coaching with my clients, I say be accountable. It's not painful. You won't die from being accountable. From telling somebody I made a mistake, I slipped up last night. I ate. They'll tell me I had chips. I'm like, I'm not gonna fire you. It's okay. You telling me is actually helping you more than it's hurting me. Okay, so trust me. So definitely be okay with talking about those traditions and just cleaning it up. The internet is incredible. You can find all kinds of clean ways to do everything. Okay, don't be afraid to do that. And eat slowly. Notice the food, notice the colors. It's now green market season. Go out of even the produce aisle in the supermarket is wonderful, but you can even go outside and find these things and bring different colors into your meals and let it look beautiful. If you know for a fact that when you buy something from the Chinese restaurant or from McDonald's, it's not vibrant and beautiful, you know you're wrong when you're eating it. You know you're wrong. Okay? Think about why you had to go there. I didn't plan for myself. I didn't take time for myself. I'm not valuing myself, so I'm gonna throw this crap on my body. Think about that before you do it. And then the moment you do, remember you said before, it's not affordable. It really, really is. That same $10 you spend for that, it just takes you some time to cook it. That's all. So we have to look at your lifestyle, and if you feel, no, I don't have no time, yeah, you do. You got time, you just don't want to do it. And that's how I call it. I will call it.
That's what we're trying to show the family. There is time to do it.
Oh, yeah.
There's ways of attaining the things that you want if you want a healthier lifestyle.
Exactly.
So like one of the Healthy Harlem educators, she was just like, well, they say they don't have money, but you can spend $2 on a soda, but water is free.
Absolutely.
Right, things. So
absolutely.
She gives us like those different things.
Yeah.
So
yeah. It's
And if I could just jump in for a moment, part of our work is to help people create a plan, right? Because change happens in phases. It's not easy to change.
think about it.
So you have to have a plan, right? And you have to be working towards something. And how we relay the message to our families about $2 for soda and water's free, that's the caveat.
Mhm.
Because you don't have to tell people about they're not eating healthy. People know that.
Mhm.
You don't have to tell people about, I think you're in an unhealthy relationship. People know that. Do you guys see where I'm trying to go with this? But your message and your skill and your heart is what is going to get people to maybe pre-contemplate or contemplate, well, maybe I can do that.
Yeah.
And so we encourage people on the way, because what we know now, and as Ayanna was saying, and we have two other health educators in the room, and I just want to give them an opportunity to speak to how they're going out into our communities and educating people, is that it's tied to these other things.
Mhm.
It's tied to your health. It's tied to your ability to be present with your family. It's just tied to so many other things. I don't know if any of you have ever worked with adolescents with eating disorders, but I have.
Mhm.
I have. And it is, it's horrible when you see a 13, 14, or 15-year-old, whether it's on the side of being obesity
Oh, extremely.
or being bulimic. It's the same thing, because they're addictions. And many of our families, you know, if my emotions are a little shattered and all of this stuff is going on, I need to do something good for me. I'm gonna give me some chocolate before I go home and get me. That's
Totally. Yeah.
that's how you should look at the eyes. I told you they dance. She's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I had a stressful day today. You know, I need to do something for me. And so that's what I'm bringing it back to, changing your thought process. You know, and things have to be done gradually.
Mhm.
Gradually, you know, and that's with any type of change that you want to make. And so the field is excited. This Strategies for Mindful Eating was not in the first edition of the book.
No.
It was not in the second edition of the book, but it's a new highlight. And because you guys are going around with you're the first class with the third
This
edition.
is exciting.
Yeah, it's
I love
very
it.
exciting.
Yeah.
And in order for us to keep our credentials and being able to train for Cornell, we have to go to update meetings every 2 years.
Mhm.
And they come down. They come down and they train us and they use us as a focus group to get more feedback. And we've been talking about putting this in for a while.
Yeah.
And now it's here.
Finally in print.
It's finally in print, right? So that's a good thing. So why don't we let Zalia and Janet come up, pull 2 chairs, and tell us about the work